Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Okay. In this video, we are going to learn chapter 8, managing project stakeholders and communication. Right. So in this chapter, we will focus on managing project stakeholders and communication that includes developing a stakeholder analysis, as well as a communications plan for tracking, monitoring, and reporting the project's progress. Okay. Okay. Learning objectives. After you go through this chapter, you should understand and able to describe the informal organization, to develop a stakeholder analysis, and develop a project communication plan that includes tracking the project progress to the baseline plan and the distribution of this information to the stakeholders. You'll also be able to apply several types of reporting tools that support the communication plan, and apply the concept of earned value and discuss how earned value provides a means of monitoring and forecasting a project's progress. And you should be able to describe how information may be distributed to the project stakeholders and the role of information technology plays to support project communication. Okay. Okay, what is the informal organization? In many cases, basically the informal organization bypasses the formal lines of communication and authority because of the inevitable relationships that become established over time in any organization. Okay, uh, power in an organization therefore is not only determined by one's place in the hierarchy, but also by how well one is connected in the informal network, right? So the informal organization can be more complex than the formal organization because relationships are established from positive and negative relationships over time, right? Okay, now what is stakeholders? Stakeholders are individuals, groups, or even organizations that have a stake or claim in the project's outcome. Okay, so usually we think of stakeholders as only those individuals or groups that having an interest in the successful outcome of the project, right? But the truth is that there are many who can gain from a project's failure. All right. Okay. This is a stakeholder analysis process. Okay. The purpose of stakeholder analysis is to understand the informal organization. Okay. It may be best to view this as an exercise rather than a formal document. Okay. These are the steps that provide a process for developing a stakeholder analysis, which is the first one is to develop a list of stakeholders who have an interest in the successful or unsuccessful outcome of the project. Okay. Second one, to identify the stakeholders' interest in the project, which is +1 for positive interest, 0 for neutral, -1 for negative interest. Okay. The third one, determine the degree of influence each stakeholder has on a scale of 0, which is no influence, to 10, can terminate the project. Okay. And define the role for each stakeholder, for example, consultant, decision maker, okay, and so on. So the number 5 is identify an objective for each stakeholders. For example, provide resources, guidance, expertise, and so on. And the last one is identify a strategy for each stakeholders, which is build, maintain, improve, and reestablish the relationships. Okay. The exercise for developing stakeholder analysis can be conducted and summarized in a table form like this. Okay, you can read this table by yourself. Okay, based on the given example of stakeholder analysis table in the previous slide, right? Regardless of how well a project is planned, unexpected situation still can arise. Okay, these unexpected events will require adjustment to the project schedule and budget, right? And a project manager will not lose credibility because an unexpected event or situation arises. Okay, he or she will, however, lose or gain credibility in terms of how they handle a particular situation. So now is the project communication plan. Okay, the project communication plan can be formal or informal, which is depending on the needs of the project stakeholders and the size of the project. All right. So the project communication plan shall support all of the project stakeholders by determining who has specific information needs, uh, what are those needs, how will these needs be met, when can they expect the information, and what will be the format. All right. So this is the example of project communication plans. Okay, and these are the key areas for developing project communications plan. Which is the first one is stakeholders. Stakeholders are individuals or groups who have a stake or claim in the project's outcome. For example, project sponsor or client, the governance committee, the project manager, and the project team. Okay. Next is information requirements, which is driven by stakeholder needs information requirements, which is will might be vary by a project. Okay, but typically focus on scope, schedule, budget, quality, and risk. Okay, a diverse group of stakeholders will result in diverse information requirements. Okay, so instead of a single report of each stakeholder, a particular report or metric can be designed to meet an individual stakeholder's need. And okay, therefore, it will improve communication with that stakeholder, right? Okay, next is a type of report or metric, okay, which is dependent upon stakeholder information requirements, okay, which is can take the form of formal or informal reviews of deliverables, milestones, newsletter, or other forms as needed. Okay, so timing or availabilities, set expectation for stakeholders. Okay, uh, should let people know when they will know. This is also allow the project manager and team to stay focused by minimizing demands for ad hoc reports. All right. Okay. Next is a medium or format, which is define how the information will be provided. Okay. For example, paper reports, face-to-face meetings, email, etc. So defining the format also set expectations and allows the project manager to plan the resources needed to support the communications plan. Right? Project metrics. Okay, the communications plan described in the previous slides is the output of the communications planning process. All right. However, a project metric system must be in place to support the information requirements for all of the stakeholders. So, the project metrics is a qualitative measurements of some attribute of the project. Okay. So, in general, project metric should focus on 6 key areas, which are scope, uh, schedule, budget, resources, quality, and risk. And a good project metric must be understandable, meaning that a metric should be intuitive and easy to understand. Otherwise, the metric will be of a little value and will not be used. Okay, uh, and a good project metric must be quantifiable, which means the metric is objective and should have very little bias as a result of personal influence or subjectivity. Okay, it must be cost effective. Okay, meaning that a metric should be relatively easy and inexpensive to create and should not be viewed as a major disruption. Okay, it must be proven, meaning that what gets measured gets done, meaning that a metric should be meaningful, accurate, and have a high degree of validity in order to be useful. Okay, and it must be high impact. Okay, otherwise, why bother? Meaning that the efficiency of computing a metric is important, right? And the metric must be effective. Why measure something that has a little impact on the project, right? So, okay, you look at this figure. It is an example of a project dashboard metric, which shows that the project may be in trouble of running out of fuel, okay, because it is consuming its budget uh, faster than planned. Okay, so project measurement systems should allow the team to gauge its own progress. Okay, meaning that instead of using a measurement system to control a team, it should be used to empower the team to solve problems on its own. All right. So measurement should be designed by the project team, meaning that the team should design its own measurement system, because the people who are doing the work know what metrics are best suited. Okay, um, a system should adopt and use only a handful of measures, because by having a few key measures uh, can keep the team focused and creates minimal interference. Right? And these measures create a common language among team members and the other project stakeholders. Okay, measures should track results and progress. Okay, for example, using graphics indicators can be useful in helping a project team measure and track its own progress and let them notice the right time to action. Okay, this is you can look the example of project dashboard metric in a shows in the previous slide. Okay, okay, burn down chart. Okay, burn down chart provides a useful tool for reporting a project's progress. Okay, it become popular in agile software development methods like Scrum or XP. All right. Um, It shows how the scope, features, or functionality or work is being completed over time. It is a visually displays the amount of work that can be delivered in a single iteration and helps to predict when project work will be completed. Right? Okay, this figure shows a burn down chart. Okay, it illustrates how a project scope has been divided into 3 sprints, starting with the 3 most important features and functionality. Okay, as the project team burns um, through the scope, okay, the velocity or burn down rate represents the amount of work that can be delivered in a single iteration. Right. So as a result, the completion of the project work can be predicted. Okay, you can see the middle line here. For example, would depict that the work would be completed on time or as planned. Okay, while a steeper dotted line here would predict that the project would finish early. On the other hand, the line on the right shows that the project will take longer than expected. Okay, I think that's all for the part 1 video, right? So in the part 2 video, you are going to learn about the concept of earned value. This is important, okay? And we are going to discuss how earned value provides a means of monitoring and forecasting a project's progress, right? So you will be given a tutorial for this topic. Earned value topic. I think we are going to cover this topic next week. I will give you a part 2 video in next week's session. So the other topics that you are going to learn in the second video is about how information may be distributed to the project stakeholders and the role of information technology plays to support project communication. Okay, so I think that's all. See you in the next video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Thank you.